Visitors at the gate. Interesting. You came from the 10 Towns, yes? It is as I suspected. I am Malavon, patron of House Despanna and Archmage of Riloven's Sorcier Academy of Magic. I have something you need, and you have something I need. Please enter my camp and accept my hospitality. Neither my allies or I will harm you. That was a rhetorical question. I know that you have come from Targos. You are trying to reach the severed hand. Enter my camp. We can discuss matters of mutual benefit. I agree. It is not my concern because I am already aware of the matter's truth. You seek passage through these caves. Enter my camp, and we can discuss matters of mutual benefit. Amusing. But in the future, do not condescend in such a manner. The mark of drow nobility may not weigh as heavily in Riloven as other societies, but it is still a point of pride. Please enter my camp. There are things we must discuss. Matters of benefit to both our parties. When I hear such bigoted remarks from a member of a supposedly noble race, I must stand in awe. But we worship Veron in Riloven. We tolerate just about anyone, if it is to our advantage. But enough talk of racism and theology. Come, enter my camp. There are matters I would discuss with you, matters of value to both you and me. Just one moment. Sarklin! Maglasilopsulas! You must have power over the words. Do not let the words take power over you. A promise is not truth. You must discern my intent through more reliable means. Do not be obstinate. I know that you seek a route to Kuldahar. There is no way around our compound. Let our meeting be consonant. Well, then, your journey is going to be truncated dramatically. Do not approach the gates, or our forces will annihilate you. Aluve, stop, please. I have grown so tired of hearing theological rhetoric. You can discuss your differences of opinion with Kadrish and Visra later. Please enter. Thank you for accepting our hospitality. As I previously stated, I am Malavon Despanna. This man is Kadresh Olonre, a respected member of the Church of Veron. Thank you for accepting our hospitality. I am Malavon, patron of House Despanna and Archmage of Riloven's Sorcier Academy of Magic. This man is Kadresh Olonre, a respected member of the Church of Veron. We are assisted by Visra Arabani, formerly of the Church of Lolth, now a faithful member of Riloven's Church of Veron. Now that introductions are all out of the way, let me tell you of our plight. It is not surprising to me that you have heard such things. You probably also heard that he was a raving maniac who sold his sister into concubinage, yes? Let me tell you what happened, in my own words. An interesting story, no? The unfortunate consequences of that ruse are all too apparent now. Please allow me to illuminate the relevance of your current situation to my own. Several decades ago, Riloven was engaged in a civil war. The ruling matriarchal theocracy of Lolth was overthrown by rebels working with the relatively egalitarian Church of Veron. I was part of the group that overthrew the Church of Lolth. I managed to turn most of the wizards of Sorcier against the matriarchy. The masked traitors, working against their own houses, like Visra, ensured our victory. Have you finished your barrage of invectives yet? I destroyed an entire city of blind zealots just like you. I suppose I can find room for your skull in their mass grave. The Civil War weakened us for over a decade. When we chose to expand our influence in the Underdark, we encountered packs of Driders that the previous rulers of Riloven had created without a regard for the consequences. There were dozens of the miserable creatures spread throughout the lower regions of Dorn's Deep. my dismay, I discovered that my sister Ginafe was among them. I thought she had died years ago, before the revolt. The Driders were not content to live off of our scraps in Dorn's Deep. We cannot rightly blame them, as they only exist in their horrible state due to the curse of Lolth. Now, however, they have turned against us in force. The Driders, led by my sister Ginafe, have chosen to ally themselves with the Legion of the Chimera in the Severed Hand. They have placed themselves in strategic locations throughout the Underdark to prevent our passage. Yours too, I imagine. We believe that the Legion of the Chimera has promised the Driders a magical process by which they may create more of their kind. Normally, such a transformation requires the intercession of a handmaiden of Lolth. Calm yourself, Visra. You are no longer a member of the Church of Lolth. You need not shout curses and crack a whip every time someone swats at a spider's spinnings. True, true. But back to the matter at hand. We need your assistance. This compound is one of the only safe havens we have left near the surface. We dare not leave, lest the Driders take over this location as well. Yes, the Driders are in a series of caves to the east. We believe that is also the location of whatever is transforming our captured allies into Driders. I have attempted to divine what wizard is behind this, but he or she is magically shielded. Do not fret. Nim could trick a priest into buying his own soul. Manipulating a band of adventurers is hardly a challenge for him. The Driders are a hazard to his livelihood as well as ours. When you find and destroy whatever is turning the Drow into Driders, the Driders should lose their interest in harassing us. Also, if you happen to see my sister, please try to convince her to return here, to the camp. You might as well clear out Driders. Your way out of here lies through the Zehinda Citadel. It used to be under our control, but Mind Flayers occupy it presently. I am the Master of Sorceer. I can be sentimental if I want, Kadresh. Now, if you need any assistance in the form of healing, speak with Visra or Kadresh. If you are in dire need of magical supplies, I have some items you may be interested in. No, the only way the portals to the Zehinda Citadel open is from the inside. The Mind Flayer thralls will only open the portals if one of the Mind Flayers is attacked. You will not find a Mind Flayer there until the Driders are defeated. I just know. Greetings again. With what can I help you? Proceed. Sablik Tan. I should have guessed that simple-minded fool would have squirmed his way out of the fate in which my clone left him. Decades ago, a clone I created of myself worked with a man named Sablik Tan. Tan was a red wizard of Thay, obsessed with perverting creatures with his transmutation magic. He worked with the demon Belhifet because it allowed him opportunities for experimentation. The clone I sent to work for Belhifet worked under Sablik. That is, he did until the clone started going berserk. For one reason or another, my clone transformed Sablik into an Umber Hulk and cast him out of Lower Dorn's Deep. How he escaped from his fate and wound up creating this Vikis camera, I do not know. Find and destroy this device. If it is transforming Drow into Driders, it offers the Driders potentially limitless reinforcements. Destroy it as soon as possible. If it is transforming Drow into Driders, it offers the Driders potentially limitless reinforcements. Excellent. The Driders are unlikely to give us any persistent trouble. Also, I suspect that you may find a Mind Flayer outside of the Zehinda Citadel now. If you harass it, the thralls inside should open the portals to come to its defense. an exit to the spine of the world sits on the other side. Indeed, Ginafe did return to the camp. You have my thanks. I am certain she would like to thank you herself, wouldn't you, dear sister? Now that our business here has concluded, we have matters to attend to in Riloven. Thank you for your assistance. But please, do not assume that a welcoming committee will await you. If you come knocking on the doors of Sorcier, that is unfortunate, but understandable. She must have led a horrid life for the past 3 decades. Whatever sentence you meted out on her could not have been worse than continued existence. This cavern is quite large. Underdark merchants frequently gather in the south after rising up from the huge canyon that lies beyond. There are steam pools to the southeast. Every once in a while, you may find a mind flayer and its thralls there. Thank you for sharing that fascinating revelation. Now, please return to the caves and accomplish something. Do not waste any more of my time. Thank you. Underdark merchants often have a bizarre variety of items for sale. If your tastes are not particular, they may have something of use to you. Be careful, though. They will kill you if they think there is profit in it. Mind flayers are extremely intelligent, powerful creatures. They hover near the steam pool because they loathe dry climates. Recently, several of them took control of the Zehinda Citadel to the northeast. They think little of humanoid life. To understand the significance of that statement, consider the fact that my people, the Drow, are not known for their mercy or pity. To the mind flayers, we are cattle to be fed upon. That is unfortunate, but understandable.
Our tale begins here, in the quiet fishing village of Easthaven, one of the so-called 10 towns of Icewind Dale. The tiny community is hardly a town, but rather a collection of ramshackle huts crowded together upon the icy shores of Lech Dineshire. Here, within a dimly lit tavern, a group of travelers sit huddled around a table, swapping tales and making grand plans for the future, completely unaware of the part they are to play in the events that are about to unfold. Fighting their way through the goblin-infested valley of the pass, the survivors of the doomed Easthaven expedition at last came upon the small hamlet of Kuldahar. Nestled within the roots of a massive oak tree, the tiny cottages were a welcome sight for the weary travelers. As the party approached the town, a warm breeze blew over them, chasing away the chill of the frozen pass, and carrying with it the sweet scent of cooking fires. After a day's journey through the mountains surrounding Kuldahar, the small band of would-be heroes finally stood before the towering crag of rock that marked the entrance to Dragon's Eye. Somewhere within the depths of the volcanic cavern lay the missing Heartstone gem, and perhaps with it the answer to who or what was behind the disturbances in Kuldahar. Following the map left for them by the slain Archdruid, the party arrived at the towering ruins of the Severed Hand. Guided by the Archdruid's cryptic last words, the adventurers prepared to enter the crumbling tower and seek out this mysterious Larrel in the hopes that he might have the power to use the Heartstone gem. For without the vision of the gem, the evil in the past might never be revealed, and the town of Kuldahar would be doomed to a frozen fate. The Heartstone's divination had at last revealed the source of the evil in the mountains. Ahead loomed the solitary peak that housed the dwarven stronghold known as Dorn's Deep. With Larrel's warnings of dwarven treachery still ringing in their ears, the heroes readied their weapons and started toward the cave entrance and whatever challenges lay beyond. Fighting their way through the Orogs in the upper chambers, the party descended deeper into the bowels of the dwarven stronghold. Gradually, The hewn passageway transitioned from stone to ice, as if the dwarves had run out of room within the mountain and had expanded their tunnels into the adjoining glacier. Icy blasts of wind whipped through the passage as it wound its way through the glacier and out onto the frozen surface above. Leaving the horrors of the frost giant caves behind them, the party made their way into the deepest tunnels of the dwarven complex. In the distance, a bright red glow emanated from the mouth of a large corridor, indicating that they were not alone in the darkness of Lower Dorn's deep.
Uncle Oswald said that Mer Dualden was full of sunsets that day. So many ships coming up the Shanegarn had been set aflame by the goblin hordes that they burned to the waterline in a row like a flock of fiery geese. Some leapt overboard and tried to swim to shore, only to be cut down by orcs when they arrived. Others clung to the hulking infernos and were inevitably consumed in the flames. The rest dropped into the icy deep, snowflakes off Death's shoulders as he shrugged over the dale. So many had died already in the attacks that the failure of the Luskan forces to arrive was but a sigh, a comma in what was to be a rather long story. Only a few small ships made it through to Targos, where my uncle was watching from the upper reaches of the town. Many villagers were too busy repelling enemies at the palisade wall to notice a few sad, sorry stragglers make it into the port. The sun burned behind the horde and cast a cloak of shadows over the heart of Targos and all within. It was into this shadow that uncommon mercenaries were thrust from Captain Hedron's ship, the Wicked Wench. Like many other mercenaries in the town, these few had come from Luskan. Unlike the others, their journeys would take them far beyond the rude palisades and bloody fields that lay ahead of them. I remember when Isilor took me to see the boars at Shanegarn River 20 years after the war had ended. There was no sign of the Malorites then, nor of the decimated forest, the field of stumps on muddy veins that stretched for miles. It was a graveyard for the placidity that the loggers in the area had known. Rather than keep the scarred land as a memento of the horrible times, the villagers earnestly put it back in its proper shape. I am glad I never saw what it had become during those dark days. Uncle Oswald saw it from the sky, and the mercenaries from Targos, they saw it from the frozen river itself. Glutted with lumber and ice from Lonelywood, the Shanegarn was choked to a halt. The damage wasn't apparent from the tundra, nor were the savage beasts lurking under the heavy boughs of the standing firs. In all the years that Uncle Oswald flew his airship, I can't honestly say he had more successful landings than crashes, but even he could not have known the difficulties that lay ahead of him in the western pass of the spine of the world. Adventurers aboard, the flight from Targos was accompanied by a flurry of sound and motion from the winter thrushes that had once again perched on the roofs of the aching town. All along the tundra, pilot and passengers watched the corpse cloth flutter in the winter wind. It was a whispering herald of things to come. As the plains turned into hills, the wind turned into a gale. Uncle had seen storms appear quickly, but the one that swept down from the spine of the world was like a bolt from an angry god. He managed to evade what he believed was the worst of the storms as he flew low over the foothills and told the adventurers to take cover. When Uncle's eyes peered out from the melting snow rushing across the deck, he beheld a wall of ice in the canyon of stone that was the Western Pass. Wild women whipped their hands in magical patterns on top of the frozen barrier, their snow-white robes poorly covering rime-armored flesh. My uncle gasped when he heard the balloon pop and tear above him. He wouldn't talk about it for years after, but he eventually told me what frightened him most before the ship crashed into the foothills. It was the silence, he said. When the ship fell, The wild women relaxed and froze on the wall. The storm abated in a heartbeat. There was no sound, no motion, but the face of Faerun rising to meet him. Uncle Oswald thanked the gods more days than not after he recovered from his terrible crash in the Western Pass. As he moved his ship north towards Targos, he wished the adventurers well on their winding way east. Though he knew they had accomplished much already, he worried when someone, anyone, traveled between the passes on the south face of the spine of the world. The Ice Lakes and the Black Raven River provide fresh water and fishing for all manner of creatures. In our own travels to the lakes in recent years, Isilor and I saw trolls, bears, ogres, nomadic dwarves, and barbarians all stretched across the broken shoreline of those lakes in the same day. By the following dawn, many of those creatures lay dead at the hands of the others. The savage north is a cruel place. On the open tundra below the spine of the world, far from the cities that promote law and civil accord, the wind may blow half as fierce, but man and beast show twice the malice and greed. What an odd sight the Black Raven Monastery must have been to those adventurers. While Uncle Oswald and Nathaniel evacuated Kuldahar to the north and east, the sellswords from Targos happened across that strange place. To this day, I can't claim to understand the monks or their philosophy. Isilor himself spoke of their order in confused tones, as if his druidic order and the monastic order were so close, and yet so different, that they became totally foreign to his understanding. The Black Raven monks still live in the mountain range today, their ranks rising and falling with the passing of the years. I've watched their plateaus from a distance, seen them practice in quiet accord, moving between the snowflakes as they fell. The monks seem content now, even if they did not then, to let the world of politics and wars pass by their silent, secret world. At long last, my uncle brought the adventurers to Kuldahar. I wish they had seen our village in happier times, after the Legion was no more, after all Kuldahar and her enemies had all been reconciled. What they came into was a barren village, its citizens driven out for fear of death or worse at the hands of the Yuan-ti and their allies, the Legion of the Chimera. I remember brief periods of my childhood, traveling with Uncle Oswald in his airship, sitting on the knee of Isilor as he told us how the flowers grow. But I remember nothing more vividly, with more palpable reality, than the sight of the great oak's roots hacked from their mother trunk. To this day, when I am ill, I sometimes see those bleeding stumps in my fever. The pain exceeds the illness threefold. No man, woman, or child raised in Kuldahar during that time can forget what they saw when we returned to our village. Victory meant nothing to us. I must believe that each generation regrets the passing of centuries-old monuments and nations that expired just before their coming. To see the look in elders' eyes when they speak in reverential tones of ancient cities, terrible generals, and the change that they effected. It plants a longing in one's heart for the unattainable. For me, it was the severed hand. Isilor had walked its silent halls. Uncle Oswald had flown above its crumbling towers. Even ill-mannered Germsey had crept through the foreboding fields of slaughter. They, too, must have longed to see the hand at its height. Elven philosophers and nobles reclining in its beautiful chambers, elven maidens dancing in the halls. But their longing, their desires, could be sated through the imagination. Where pillars fell, the mind erected a double. Where paint faded, the heart restored what the eyes could not see. Isilor told me for years that I was too young to explore what remained, that a danger remained there still. When I was 25, my curiosity was piqued. I moved down the restored mountain trails to the fields of slaughter, the fog of the valley glowing in the moonlight. As dawn approached, I awaited the silhouette of the severed hand from the rock I had perched upon. The fog lifted, the sun rose, and my heart faltered. Isilor had told the truth.
Vendui, you have my warmest greetings, honored customer. I am Nim, a merchant. Forgive my poor manners, but before we speak of business, I must ask a question of you. Vendui, you have my greetings, Dathir. I am Nim, a merchant, and must ask a question of you. In traveling from the west, have you encountered any news of a military expedition from Neverwinter? I had hoped to speak with its commander. I carry grave news and hold additional information that may be of use. You must forgive me, honored customer, but I cannot answer that. The information is of a military nature and fit only for the ears of the Neverwinter Force's commander. Indeed. Terrible. But your being here is no coincidence, yes? You must intend to use the Eastern Pass. Am I correct, honored customer? Come now. I have been a merchant for centuries, and in the Underdark, no less, I have long had to deal with races renowned as masters of deceit. You are allied with the 10 towns and do intend to use the Eastern Pass. So then, I regret to say that you will find that route impassable. Many troops of the Legion of the Chimera are stationed there, blocking the route over the spine of the world. However, I do know of another way. Is it not enough that I am? In any case, I am a merchant. Should things continue as they are, my livelihood will ultimately be threatened. In aiding you, I aid myself. I make no effort to hide this, honored customer. Through the Underdark, you must follow the Black Raven River to where it flows from the spine of the world. There you will find a network of caves. Bring rope, as you will need to rappel down into them. The monks may or may not be cooperative, but beneath the area is an entrance to the Underdark. Find the ancient dwarven ruins of Dorn's Deep. From there you can surface to the northern side of the spine of the world. I would be more than pleased to answer those questions that pertain to our business together, honored customer. I shall remain here a bit longer, so feel free to return and browse my wares at any time. Aluve, you have my warmest greetings again, honored customer. My greetings again, Darthir. Do you wish something of me? I am leaving this place, honorable customer, and would warn you not to remain too long. I sense that the Legion of the Chimera knows of your meddling and will take great pains to eliminate whatever threat you might pose to them. Aluve. The caves are swollen with chitinous hook-handed monsters that often cling high upon cavern walls to drop down upon...
I'm very small. I'm so small that no one can see me. Uncle Oswald says that it's because of air pressure that was on me when I didn't live in the mountains. Isilor says it's just the way I am. Uncle Oswald says that sometimes little girls need to wear ropes so they don't wander off or fall down. Sometimes I fall down. When we fly, I tie the rope to a harness that Uncle Oswald made. It's pretty. It has a big tree. Isilor says it's a magic tree. And something about yawning trees in the mountains. There used to be someone as small as me, but he's gone now. He was a halfling. Uncle Oswald said that some mayor in Bernshander made him mad, so now they want to hurt everyone. Oh, your eyes must be very small. Over here. Hello. My head won't fit in the root jar. I don't have any bumps on my head this time.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't see you standing there. What can I do for you? Or was there something I was supposed to do for you? Perhaps. Yes, I think I would have remembered you. I'm sure of it. I think. Introductions, of course, introductions. Sometimes the ideas will start rattling around in my head, and I'll wake up to find I'm somewhere else, or talking to someone else. My name's Fiddlebender. Oswald, that is. Well, Fiddlebender's my last name. My first name is Oswald, so it's Oswald Fiddlebender. A pleasure to meet you. Oh, my. Did I borrow such a sum? I'm afraid you caught me a little short at the moment. Not height-wise, mind you, but, light in the purse. Oh, but wait. Would you settle for one of my concoctions instead? I just brewed it, and I'm almost completely certain it's quite potent. Whatever it does. Ship? Oh, you mean this one here? You mean my airship? Yes, indeed, it's mine. Beautiful, isn't it? Didn't know which ship you meant at first, for there are many common ships about, but this one is quite extraordinary. Most ships travel upon the water. This one, however, travels upon the air. Indeed it does. It was wondrous. Well, before it crashed in Targos. I flew it all the way from Kuldahar, you know. Oh, yes, the damage there. Well, the landing here in Targos was somewhat bumpy, and it took some time to put out the flames and mend the wooden frame. And, of course, there were all those potions that shattered in the crash and caused those nasty fires on the northern side of town. Fortunately, all the residents had already fled at my approach, so it was only a matter of time before the flames died down and we could approach the ship. Quite a mess, but we got it all sorted out. Oh, well, now that's another story. Had to fashion a spell of my own to mend the ship. Oswald's Mending, I call it. Quite catchy, I think. Getting the components for it can be quite exhausting, let alone remembering them. Wrote it all down in a book in the lab. Let's see. There's spider silk. Fresh spider silk, mind you, not old. Belladonna paste. Crushed diamonds, some Thrim extract, a little bit of iron ore, some wood, of course, unless you crashed on a house or near a big tree, in which case that isn't a problem, and, well, can't remember the last bits, but I have it all written down. Very true, very true. Can't see this airship crashing any time in the near future. Sturdy as a rock. Well, of course they can. Just get a giant to throw them, and even the largest stone will fly like a bird. A very heavy bird, mind you, and no wings, but the principle is the same. Why, I live in Kuldahar with my niece, Marilee. I set up shop there after I landed in town. Well, crashed, really, but that's neither here nor there. There's an awful lot of mountains around Kuldahar. Very confusing to fly through. Or around. It's hard to steer the ship when I'm in the lab, I've discovered. Oh, yes, Marilee. Quite the fiddlebender as fiddlebenders go. She's growing like a quick weed. She's almost up to my knee. Oh, didn't I tell you? But I must have. Why, I make potions. Among other things, I'm an inventor. I make things. And potions. Did I say that? Most certainly. I'd be more than happy to supply you with whatever potions you might need. At a fair price, of course. Not often. Very dangerous, some of them. Others are volatile. Some are both. Of course. Well, no, I'm part of the Targos Guard. A scout, you see. An aerial scout. A lot of goblins, mostly. Those goblins shoot a lot of arrows, you know. I've told them to stop it on many occasions, but they only seem to understand after I dump several casks of flaming oil on them. Well, everywhere. Quite a mob of them. Obrecht, he's the lord of the town, you know, has asked me to look for large concentrations of them and report back, which I am more than happy to do. Helps pay for the damage to the town when my airship landed. Oh, you'll have to wait. There's another group I have to take to the Western Pass first, to meet up with the Neverwinter forces, you know. Are you sure? Well, you know, you must be. I'm quite sure Lord Obrecht wouldn't make a mistake like that. Are you ready to leave now? I can cast off immediately if you like. You know, and I'm saying this simply because, well, it could happen, but we might not be able to come back to Targos for some time. Yes, as in not at all. So I wouldn't leave anything behind. Bring everything you need, especially warm cloaks. Very cold in the Western Pass, as I understand it. Well, you know, accidents happen, and the wind's awfully strong. In any event, I just wanted to make sure you were ready and had everything in case we never come back. To Targos, that is. Very well, I'll be here. Just let me know when you want to leave and, well, we'll depart. Oh, hello. Are you ready to leave? Or were you just looking to buy some potions? Ah, welcome back. Something I can help you with? A potion to put some color in your cheeks, perhaps? Oh. Huh? What? Oh, pardon me. I must have fallen asleep again. Phew, good thing we weren't flying at the time. Thank you. It was simply beautiful. The trance, I mean, not the crash. I was a baby kraken swimming through river clouds of soft molten gemstone. Those episodes are rare, but have happened before. Well, usually right after a crash. Most certainly. I'd be more than happy to supply you with whatever potions you might need. At a fair price, of course. Why, hello again. Can I help you with anything else? Indeed. I can make lightweight plate mail in 1 day, field plate in 2, or full plate armor in 3, all for a reasonable price. Which would you like? Absolutely. I can make beautiful clothing thick enough to ward off this winter chill. What would you like? Boots? A cloak? Perhaps a scarf or hat? Are gloves more to your liking? It'll take some time, though, a half day at least. And a few hundred gold? Absolutely. I can make clothing thick enough to ward off this winter chill. Would you like boots or a cloak? Perhaps a scarf or hat? Are gloves more to your liking? It'll take some time, though, a half day at most, and a few hundred gold. Most excellent. It shouldn't take long at all to make. Check back with me later. Oh, and don't forget to bring enough gold with you. Yes, here it is. Mighty fine craftsmanship, too, if I do say so myself. No, it's not ready yet. Give me a little more time. My mending spell takes a stretch of time to complete, so you won't see any changes immediately. I can already feel it working, however. I can feel it in my toes. Of course I can. I'll cast it right away. Of course I can. I'll need to find more components, though, and guard my ship, or what's left of it. Say, I could guard the ship while you retrieved my spell's components. I wrote them all down in that book over there. Interested? There certainly is. I've fashioned a spell of my own to mend the ship. Oswald's Mending, I call it. Quite catchy, I think. Although she's never been quite this naked before. Question is, can I still repair her? Yes, worse than ever before. And that maelstrom of ice! My goodness! We never had a chance. Ah! Oh, it's you. I thought those harpies would be the death of me. Isilor sent me to... Oh, this! This is my niece, Merrily. Yes, Merrily, that's very interesting. I told her that her head was too small for her age. Now she tries to fit her head in everything. In any event, as I was saying, Isilor sent me, the Archdruid. Isilor didn't send me the Archdruid. Isilor is the Archdruid, and he sent me. Here. Woo! So, All aboard? Well, to Kuldahar, of course. Isilor and the others need our help. I had to evacuate most of the villagers before the Yuan-Ti came. Isilor? Why, he's the Archdruid of Kuldahar. He replaced Arendelle almost, 30 years ago. Same time all that other nonsense happened. Small? Oh, why, yes, she is. And that's why I had to move her. The Yuan-Ti started attacking Kuldahar, and I moved the villagers to Targos. I couldn't leave little Merrily there, though. Oh, Isilor told me. He used the power of the Heartstone Gem to find you. I came here as soon as I was done moving the villagers, hoping you would find your way out. Things have settled down, more or less. There are still a few goblins hiding under rocks in the plains, of course, but nothing the 10 towns can't deal with. Oh, this over an insult. Well, all right, but we really should get to Kuldahar as soon as possible. Rest as long as you need to, but don't overdo it. Fly over the Severed Hand? There are red wizards in the valley. They'd blast us out of the sky worse than those women at the ice wall. First we go to Kuldahar, then Isilor can help you. Oh yes, the half-breeds. They're trying to destroy the Great Oak. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Isilor can explain it all better than I can. Now off we go. Well, a lot of things. The Archdruid watches over Kuldahar and protects the Great Oak from attackers. Isilor is an excellent Archdruid, but even he can only hold off the Yuan-Ti for so long. Oh, well, I suppose it's not common knowledge, but 30 years ago, 2 demons appeared in Icewind Dale. They caused all sorts of trouble. One of the demons, Belhifet, killed our Archdruid Arendelle to prevent a band of adventurers from using the Heartstone Gem to divine his army's location. The adventurers eventually defeated the demons and returned the Heartstone Gem back to Kuldahar. But it wasn't until almost a year later that Isilor arrived to replace Arendelle, a sacred relic of the Druids of Sylvanas. It has awesome powers of divination and healing magic. It's the main reason why Kuldahar is in a state of eternal summer. The Great Oak is the other reason. Like the Heartstone Gem, the Great Oak of Kuldahar is sacred to the Druids of Sylvanas. Thousands of years ago, it sprouted in the wilderness and provided warmth to everything under its huge branches. A miracle. But now, Isilor's the only one protecting it. The Yuan-Ti have been trying to destroy it, and well, Isilor can tell you the rest when we get to Kuldahar. Excellent. Just let me adjust a few things here, and merrily get into the restraining jacket and put your helmet on. The other way around. Yes. All right. Here we go. Oh, yes. You haven't heard. The Legion sent envoys to the 10 towns months ago. The whole reason this is happening is because the mayor of Bryn Shander somehow insulted Izair and Madei. Oh, there you are. Are you ready to go yet? There. That wasn't so bad, was it? Oh, be quiet, you. And while I'm talking to the nice adventurers, I better not catch you licking the potion bowls again. It's going to get you into trouble someday. The magic of the Great Oak makes the village under its branches warm year-round. Since the Heartstone Gem was returned, the circle of warmth has grown into a bigger circle. With a larger diameter, that is. Well, you could take the paths down to the fields of slaughter, but the Legion of the Chimera has destroyed most of the trails. Isilor will know what to do. You can find him to the east, past the bridge and the mill. She didn't always live with me, no. Merrily was separated from my brother and his wife when goblins attacked their village. We haven't heard from them in 5 years. I'm more than happy to take care of her, though. That's where Mother Egania raised Izair and Madei. She's still buried there, but the villagers burned the house down. It's a watchtower. It used to be a grain tower, but Isilor and Germsey thought it would be best if it were turned into a watchtower. A sacred relic of the Druids of Sylvanas. It has awesome powers of divination and healing magic. It's the main reason why Kuldahar is in a state of eternal summer. The Great Oak is the other reason. I'm sorry. I could tell you, but I think Isilor would be more helpful than I. What happened with Egania, Izair, Medei, even to the twins' mother, is a sad tale. He's a sour grape. His parents were killed by orcs when he was a child during the troubles in the valley. Now he's the captain of the town watch, and he has a thorn in his heart. Back again! I hope all is going well for you in the village. Those Yuan-ti, they can sneak up on you. Anyway, how can I help you? You did it. You saved Kuldahar. I haven't been this happy since the last time a group of adventurers saved Kuldahar.
Greetings, child of Ilmater. How are you today? I am pleased to hear it. So many young people today suffer needlessly. They live through a dull pain, sublimely drifting under the waves, never understanding the ecstasy that awaits them if they open their hearts to Ilmater. It saddens my heart to hear such news. You seek solace, yes? You seek the loving embrace of Ilmater? All you seek, all you have ever sought, can be found through me and the glorious suffering of my God. I suppose you're right. The whole mockery of suffering thing only amuses one for so long. It seems that my campaign here has run its course. It was time to move on in any event. Justice. But what is justice? No, don't answer. That was a rhetorical question. There are more important things you must answer for, such as your attack on my domain. I'm sorry, but war and charades are the only two games I know how to play. If they are not to your liking, I'm afraid you'll be ill-equipped to play the game that's about to begin. After centuries of Ixanamai's laboriously worded speeches and delusions of grandeur, it is a welcome change to hear such succinct threats from an enemy. Thank you for disposing of her, by the way. Her speeches were quite tiresome, and she suffered her defeats so poorly. The only thing really standing in the way of my conquering this territory was Ixanamai. When you killed her, you removed the largest obstacle in my campaign. As you probably already know, my arrival in this world was a result of conflict with my ancient adversary. I was exiled from my home plane when my vendetta with Ixanamai got, as my superiors said, out of control. As soon as I arrived in this world, I knew that Ixanamai would follow. After all, what's a few thousand years and 1 billion miles between old friends? I sought out a base of operations from which I could start a military force. In the process of doing so, I heard something calling to me from a distant glacier. It was this, Kren Shiniban. It's an artifact so old that it makes me seem young. A crystal shard with magical powers of such magnitude that Kuldahar's Heartstone gem looks like a child's toy. Just having it in my possession caused the monstrous creatures of this land to leave their ancient homes and seek me out. Its other powers are too numerous to mention. Despite the fact that the shard has a somewhat overbearing personality, our plans seem to coincide. As for my lieutenants, they were easy enough to find. All of them were eager to join my cause, except for poor naive Brother Padium. The guise of an Ilmatarian revered brother was perfect for traveling and gathering information in Icewind Dale. The form was easy enough to assume. The information inside of Padium's head allowed me to flesh out the role. Everything was going well, until that annoying Arundel and your good friend, the late Hrothgar, decided to investigate Ixanamai's poorly veiled activities in Dragon's Eye. If that idiot had been a little more clandestine in her business, no one would have suspected. To stall Exonomai and seal off Icewind Dale, I used Crunchinaban to freeze the passes, but not quickly enough to prevent Hrothgar's band from starting their expedition. I had Craig Frostbeard and his giants cause the avalanche that crushed Hrothgar, Acalia, and those other fools. After that, I didn't really care what you were doing, until you seized the Heartstone gem from Exonomai. I thought that Arundel would be the only person capable of using it. When I killed him, I thought the threat was ended. I certainly didn't expect you to take the gem to Laral in the Severed Hand. Very clever. Unfortunately, your actions since that event have been inconsequential. During your extended bloody trek through Upper Dawns, Worm's Tooth, and Lower Dawns, I was building up forces elsewhere, outside of East Haven to be specific. So you see, the destruction of my forces here simply prevents me from having reserve troops during my conquest of the Dale. It's a good thing you can't see East Haven now. It would probably break you to see how easy it is to crush houses and cause temples to explode. Everything you've done is pointless. I am the beginning and the end of this story. I, and only I, will determine how it plays out. Goodbye. If you seek resolution, I shall give it to you. Farewell. Enough! Suffer. You again. I admire your persistence, but come now. I think it is time you accepted the fact that it is not within your power to stop me. Escape? I assure you, I have no intention of fleeing. I would have finished you back at Dawn's Deep were it not for the fact that Crunchinaban willed it otherwise. I am not interested in your feeble-minded perceptions. The shard is nothing but a tool to me. I have used its power to further my plans and gain advantage where none existed before. I am its master. Please, do not insult me with such transparent lies. Deception is a delicate art form and should not be practiced by one as clumsy and inexperienced as yourself. Impossible! Crunchinaban serves me. It has obeyed my commands all along, aiding my cause, and I care nothing for ruling this miserable land. The scope of my desire is far beyond your mortal comprehension. I exist solely for the purpose of corrupting the corruptible. To me, this world is nothing but a fertile field, a vast crop of temptable souls. And now, it is harvest time. Consider yourselves fortunate. You alone shall witness this historical moment. Behold, the circle is complete. What was undone so long ago has been done once more. The doors to the lower planes have been thrown wide. And now my brethren are free to plunder this world for its immortal spoils. Soon the ranks of the Blood War army will swell with thousands of fresh souls. Fools! Do you think you can defeat me so easily? The priest has done nothing but delay the inevitable. I still possess the secrets of unlocking the portal. It is only a matter of time before I open the gate once more. Perhaps you are nauseated by the realization that my actions, however appalling they might seem, serve a greater good. That's the problem with you mortals. You have always had such trouble coming to terms with abstract concepts, such as good and evil. When will you ever learn that there is no black and white? You call me evil. What is it that I have done that affronts your moral sensibilities so? True, I've destroyed a couple of towns here and there, But since the beginning of time, men have done that and more. You call it war, and suddenly it is no longer morally depraved. As for a corrupter of men, those that have allied with me did so of their own free will. I just present the path. The choosing is always left up to the mortals. It is they who must decide whether they will or will not be tempted. Well, you cannot make wine without crushing a few grapes. The elimination of the old druid was a necessary means to an end. There is no need for such empty threats. The only reason you are still alive is because I want you to witness this historical moment. Over? Over? On the contrary, my time has only just begun!